When you think of the Wicked Witch of the West, what pops into your head? For most of us, it's a cackling figure in a pointy hat, right? A flash of green skin, the very symbol of pure, simple evil. She's an icon, burned into our cultural memory.
But here's the thing about legends. They always start somewhere. And this one doesn't start with a monster. It starts with a baby. A baby born with green skin. So shocking, her own mother can't even bear to look at her. A child so unwanted that her father, a minister, just calls her real evil and basically checks out. So how in the world does that rejected infant become the most infamous villain on the planet? That's the real question, isn't it? In this explainer, we're going to unpack the story behind the myth, using Gregory Maguire's novel to really understand the anatomy of a witch.
To get Elphaba, you first have to get the world that made her. You see, her identity wasn't just born, it was built. And it was built by the powerful and frankly corrupt ideas that were running the land of Oz.
You'd think the most powerful weapon in Oz would be magic, right? A spell, a wand, but it's not. It's propaganda. The Wizards regime is brilliant at creating its own truth through big public shows, using stories to turn people against each other.
Take this thing called the Time Dragon Clock. It's not just some traveling puppet show. Oh no, it's a tool for social control. Imagine it rolling into your town, putting on these plays that publicly shame your neighbors for sins that might not even be real. It turns private lives into a spectacle to stir up mob justice. That's how the government controls what people believe, from the ground up.
The book also keeps coming back to this idea of the soul. And we're not talking about it in a strictly religious way. It's more philosophical, the very core of who you are. And in Oz, that inner self is under constant attack.
There's this sense throughout the novel that just living in a cruel, unfair world, it damages you. It chips away at your soul. It's not one big, horrible event, but more like death by 1,000 paper cuts. All these little indignities, day after day. And a lot of them are fueled by that same propaganda. This is absolutely central to who Elphaba becomes.
And where do all those indignities come from? From the top, from political power. In Oz, the Wizards' government isn't really about governing. It's about repression. It's a police state designed to shut down anyone who steps out of line.
And that's not just my interpretation. That's Elphaba talking. She's describing the Gale Force, the Wizards' secret police. So she's not fighting some cartoon villain with a curly mustache. She's up against a very real, very brutal system. So you've got propaganda, the idea of a soul under siege, and this repressive power. These are the building blocks of her world.
All right, so with that stage set, let's walk through Elphaba's life. We can really see her tragic journey unfold in 3 distinct acts. 3 scenes that take her from a brilliant outsider to a legendary figure. Her story really has 3 parts. The awakening at Shi's University, her time in the Resistance in the Emerald City, and then her final reckoning at Kiamoko Castle. Okay, so her awakening kicks off at university. She's smart, but she's a total outcast. So she connects with her professor, Dr. Dillamond, who happens to be a brilliant thinking, feeling goat. And when the government starts systematically taking away the rights of animals like him, something just ignites in her. For the first time, her own personal pain connects to a much bigger cause.
And this puts her at a crossroads. It's a question we all have to think about, right? When the people in power say some lives matter less than others, what do you do? Do you look away? Do you stay quiet? Or do you fight back? Elphaba's answer sets her on a path she can never turn back from.
Her choice throws her into the resistance. To the state, she's a terrorist. To herself, she's a freedom fighter, working in the shadows of the Emerald City. And this is where her ideals about justice smash headfirst into the brutal reality of political violence. It's also where she finds something she never saw coming, love, with a prince named Fiyero. And the stark lesson she learns in this period is just that. Everything costs. Every action, every choice demands a sacrifice. And her fight for what's right is going to cost her everything. Her freedom, her safety, and in the end, the person she loves. After Fiyero is killed, the reckoning begins. Elphaba is just broken. She runs away to this remote castle, completely haunted by grief and what she sees as her own failure. She pulls away from the world she fought so hard to save, and in that silence, the Wizards' propaganda machine takes over. The political radical is erased, and the myth of the Wicked Witch is born. Her story really leaves you with this haunting question. If you give your whole life to a fight, and you lose, what's left behind? Is it the fight itself, or is it just the story your enemies tell about you after you're gone? And I think that question is a huge part of why this dark, complicated take on a children's story still hits so hard today. Why do we keep coming back to this version of Oz?
Well, the book's legacy is its sheer complexity. It challenges us to question history itself. Who gets to write the official story? It dares to humanize a character we all thought we knew as the ultimate monster. It shows us the heavy personal price of having convictions. And maybe most importantly, it doesn't give us any easy answers. It forces us to look at it all and decide for ourselves what evil really means.
So that brings us to what we can actually take away from Elphaba's story. And these aren't simple morals. Think of them more like a framework for navigating a world that's just as messy as Oz.
It really comes down to three things. First, question the official story. Always ask whose voice is missing. Second, make a conscious effort to see the humanity in the people who are labeled monsters or the other. And third, understand that having real conviction isn't just an opinion, it's a choice. And that choice has real, sometimes brutal consequences.
Because in the end, the book suggests the greatest mystery isn't the battle between good and evil out there in the world. It's the person staring back at you in the mirror.